Hey everyone, and thanks for checking out another video. Today we're in Toledo, Ohio, and you're looking at the CSX coal dock. That's the Sam Loud being loaded. We'll follow along from the start of the process to finish as coal cars are pushed through and unloaded. We'll also learn how this facility operates and how it's different from the Norfolk Southern coal dock about 40 miles from here in Sandusky. Click here to see that coal dock in action. I'll also include a link to an article by the CSX Transportation Historical Society from a 2013 visit the club had to this facility. It's got some great pictures and information and is definitely worth checking out. Alright, back to the coal loading. This is a much more modern facility than what's in Sandusky. The ships being loaded here don't need to winch themselves back and forth to be loaded. The coal loader is actually able to maneuver nearly the entire structure to load a boat in what's called the traveling ship loader system. Unlike Sandusky, there's no coal storage on this pier. Everything loaded here is directly from a coal car. Those gray locomotives are General Electric 55-tonners. They're called field pushers. They push the coal cars to the warming shed at the bottom of the screen. We barely made it to see some of the coal cars being loaded. The warming shed is also called the pig hole. I shot this over 2 days. The first section was in December of 2023, and the second half was in April of 2024. We can see there's no pusher locomotive at the end of the cars, so this must either be fed by gravity or there's something inside which is keeping these cars rolling. Looking at the bottom of the cars, we can see they're gondolas. Hopper cars have doors to allow emptying from the bottom, gondolas don't, so these must be rotated to be emptied. Now we're looking at the exit of the warming shed. These are pig pushers. They bring the cars to the pig hole. I believe these are diesel powered because I didn't see any electrical pickups and it looks like they have an exhaust pipe. Yep, it's definitely diesel powered by that puff of smoke as it pulled away. If you look closely toward the rear of the car, you can see its shuttle arm flip up and out of the way. That's how they push these cars. Once the car is in position at the bottom of the hill, the mule comes from underneath the cars where it raises up to push the cars up the hill to the rotary dumper. This facility empties 2 cars at a time. The mule rides on 2 rails below the tracks for the coal cars. Here's where that pusher arm raises up to meet the coupler. It's cable driven in both directions. On the right side, it looks like a chain attached to some gears of what raises that pusher arm. Once at the top, the loaded cars kick out the ones that were just emptied. Watch just under that yellow plate. It shaves off a layer of coal as the cars enter the dumper. And there you see the empty cars being kicked out. This is a Wellman rotary dumper. Notice how the tracks shift just a bit as the cars begin to be rolled over. The coal starts to spill out of the gondola. This dumper is mechanically driven by several gears. You can see them in the reddish rings at the front and back of where each car is. The cars are nearly flipped completely over as they empty out the cargo. I wonder if there's anything in there that sprays out any of the stuck coal to make sure it's all emptied. From what I've read, these gondolas are faster and more efficient when it comes to unloading compared to a bottom discharge hopper car. Also, because there's no mechanical parts for the bottom doors, the gondolas are easier and cheaper to maintain. I've got a video in the works from a coke facility showing some of the troubles with bottom dump hoppers, especially when it's cold out. This happened a few times while I was recording. The cars would just stay in this position for several minutes before being turned right side up. I'm not sure what was going on to cause it, so we're going to jump ahead and check out this from a different angle. The coal falls directly below the dumper. It's then carried to this conveyor belt coming out of the ground. Then heads up a small hill before making a 90-degree turn to the ship loader. We can see the coal zipping by on a conveyor belt. I wonder if the reason for the holdup is to allow some of that coal to clear the underground hopper. From there, it's able to be dumped into the belly of the boat. As we fly around, we can see the chute guiding the coal into the cargo hold. We'll take a closer look at that in a bit. Here we can see two crew members on the boat keeping an eye on things. Now let's get back and get a wider view and see how versatile the ship loader actually is. Like I mentioned, it's able to move up and down the dock on rails. For these boats with 24 cargo hatches, I bet that saves a considerable amount of time compared to having a ship winch itself into place for a stationary loader. I didn't notice until I was watching on a larger screen, but you can actually see more crew members on the right side of the screen. One of them is securing one of the hatches that was just topped off. And keep an eye out on the chute as it moves into position to start loading this section. Here's a closer look at the chute. It's cable driven and able to move itself in all manner of directions to fill every corner of that boat. As we watch more unloading, here's a bit about the Sam Loud. It was built in 1975 by the Bay Shipbuilding Company in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin for the American Steamship Company. It's 634 feet or 193 meters long by 68 feet or 20 meters wide. It was the first of 4 River-class sister ships built by Bay Shipbuilding. I'll put a link in the description if you want to learn a little bit more about the boat. As we pull back, it looks like there's only a little room left to load. A battery change later and they're topping off the last section. A look down the boat shows most of the hatches have been secured. With those last little spurts of coal, the boat's nearly full. The chute operator pulls out of the way, and this vessel will soon be on its way. There's the hatch crane. It's used to move the massive steel plates that cover the cargo holds. I'll put links up to some of my other boat loading videos so you can see how it's used. This really is such a cool facility. I love seeing massive machinery like this in operation. That chute operator is lining up to fill that last section of cargo. While we still have the chance, let's see where those empty coal cars go after they've been flipped upside down and kicked out of the dumper. We can see they run through a loop track where they're slowed down by a retarder. Before passing another retarder and control tower where they're guided onto the correct track. Judging by that single track, I'm guessing someone is in there keeping an eye on things. The green lights on the main track show us this is an automated switch yard. I wonder what this yard on the left was used for. It looks like several of the tracks have been pulled up. As we fly to the right, we get an idea of just how large this facility is. The Torco iron dock is next to this. I have a video on that in the works too. Before it heads out onto Lake Erie, here's a quick look at the bridge at the Sam Loud. You can see how its boom is connected and raised and lowered by that piston. These self-unloaders really are incredible. There you can see the base of the boom and where it swivels to unload onto docks and allow the ship loader access to all the cargo holds. You can just barely see the tugboat, but that's the Laura Van Enkvoort in the back. I had to switch out batteries once more, and by the time I got back, the Sam Loud was already on its way. Here we see what the ship loader looks like when it's not in use. We'll finish with one last parting shot of the Sam Loud as it heads out into the foggy abyss that was Lake Erie on this day. Don't worry, the video isn't over yet though, far from it. I made a second trip up here and caught the Algoma Sioux being loaded. There's a lot going on in this shot. First off, check out the hatch cover crane moving down the boat. It stops over a hatch and you can just barely see the hatch lift up. It's going to place that over the previous cargo opening. I couldn't see which tugs those were or what articulated barge this is just yet. As we pan to the left, we can see several strings of gondolas waiting to be emptied. You can also see the 55 tonners around the yard. Since we've gone over how things work, I'm just going to speed some things up and comment on anything new I spot as we go. I didn't point it out before, but the controller of the rotary dumper sits in that tower overlooking the unloader. I was surprised to see this is actually just a one-person operation up here. I figured someone would at least be at the exit to make sure the couplers are open as the cars head out to the empty yard. As we continue on, notice how much larger those hatches are on the Algoma Sioux compared to the Sam Loud. You can't really make the lettering out, but those white letters, evenly spread out just under the deck, indicate the separate cargo holds. This boat has 5 holds with 17 hatches. The conveyor belt system these loaders use is pretty ingenious. It's the same length of belt no matter where the ship loader is. Here's a little more about the Algoma Sioux. It was built in 2017 and delivered a year later. It's 740 feet or 225 meters in length, and it's 78 feet or 24 meters in width. Click here to see another video I put together of the Algoma Sioux as she arrived in Toledo on a failed attempt to get this CSX coal dock in action. That video is what actually got me interested in filming boats. Now we can see it's the Michigan Trader barge and the Laura Van Ankvoort tug to the left. I still can't spot the name on the tug to the right though. There it is, it's the Dirk Van Ankvoort tug on the left. You can see a crew member for the barge heading back to the dock. Well, that does it for this video on the CSX Coal Dock in action. I hope you enjoyed seeing these two boats being loaded. I'd love to hear your comments on the process. Until our next video, I hope you have a great day.